With a major selection of the looks your kiddos love starting at just $4 in the Walmart app, a new school year means a stylish new them. Who knew? Find skater skirts and Crocs that say, I'm casual but cool. Sparkly sneakers that say, it's my classroom, you're just learning in it. And preppy polos that say, I'm the teacher's pet, even if they're mommy's menace at home. Find their favorite styles starting at just $4 in the app. The Walmart you thought you knew is now new.
This episode is brought to you by Indeed. When your computer breaks, you don't wait for it to magically start working again. You fix the problem. So why wait to hire the people your company desperately needs? Use Indeed's sponsored jobs to hire top talent fast. And even better, you only pay for results. There's no need to wait. Speed up your hiring with a $75 sponsored job credit at Indeed.com/podcast. Terms and conditions apply.
Hey, it's Ryan Reynolds here from Mint Mobile. Now, I was looking for fun ways to tell you that Mint's offer of unlimited premium wireless for $15 a month is back. So I thought it would be fun if we made $15 bills. But it turns out that's very illegal. So there goes my big idea for the commercial. Give it a try at mintmobile.com/switch.
Upfront payment of $45 for 3-month plan equivalent to $15 per month required. New customer offer for first 3 months only. Speed slow after 35 gigabytes if network's busy. Taxes and fees extra. See mintmobile.com.
USAA knows dynamic duos can save the day, like superheroes and sidekicks or auto and home insurance. With USAA, you can bundle your auto and home and save up to 10%. Learn more and get a quote at USAA.com/bundle. Restrictions apply.
AI is moving fast. So fast, it's hard to keep up. In fact, in ServiceNow's latest AI Maturity Index, scores dipped 20% from last year. But that's okay, because AI isn't a sprint. It's a marathon. You may be behind today, but tomorrow, you could be a pace setter. Dive into ServiceNow's AI Maturity Index and see how you can innovate as fast as your ambitions. Visit servicenow.com/AI maturity.
Does it ever feel like you're a marketing professional just speaking into the void? Well, with LinkedIn ads, you can know you're reaching the right decision makers. You can even target buyers by job title, industry, company, seniority, skills. Wait, did I say job title yet? Get started today and see how you can avoid the void and reach the right buyers with LinkedIn ads. We'll even give you a $100 credit on your next campaign. Get started at linkedin.com/results. Terms and conditions apply.
Have you ever spotted McDonald's hot, crispy fries right as they're being scooped into the carton? And time just stands still. Ba-da-ba-ba-ba.
Hey, it's Ryan Reynolds here from Mint Mobile. Now, I was looking for fun ways to tell you that Mint's offer of unlimited premium wireless for $15 a month is back. So I thought it would be fun if we made $15 bills. But it turns out that's very illegal. So there goes my big idea for the commercial. Give it a try at mintmobile.com/switch.
Upfront payment of $45 for 3-month plan equivalent to $15 per month required. New customer offer for first 3 months only. Speed slow after 35 gigabytes if network's busy. Taxes and fees extra. See mintmobile.com.
Hey, it's Paris. You know I love sparkly things, right? Like stars. Duh. And thanks to Hilton and AutoCamp, I just slept under them. Picture me, serving looks by the fire outside my luxurious Airstream, making s'mores with the kids, while a national park is our backdrop. The great outdoors meets Hilton hospitality. That's hot. Explore all the new ways to stay at Hilton.com. Hilton for the stay.
The McDonald's snack wrap is back. You brought it back. Ranch snack wrap. Spicy snack wrap. You broke the internet for a snack. Snack wrap is back. Ba-da-ba-ba-ba.
I'm always looking for ways to show my cat how much I love her. And with Fancy Feast Gems, I can pamper her whenever I want with a savory gravy on top of a gourmet mousse pâté. The pyramid shape makes serving simple, so all I have to do is peel and plate to make mealtime feel extra fancy. And with 2 entrees in every pack, it's easy to turn every day into the extraordinary. Fancy Feast Gems.
This episode is brought to you by Starbucks. Smooth, bright, deliciously crafted. Introducing Starbucks and Sarah Blend, their smoothest, brightest coffee yet. It's a new kind of light roast, one that's packed with so much flavor, it shines no matter how you brew it. So go ahead and try it hot, iced, black, or with a splash of creamer. Visit athome.starbucks.com/sunsera-blend-coffee to bring Starbucks Sunsera Blend home.
Are your business expenses playing hide and seek? With Uber for Business, the small spends that slip through the cracks, like rides and meals, go right where you need them. Because it integrates with leading expense platforms, you can say goodbye to surprise costs, missing dollars, or chasing receipts. Everything's track downable. Uber for Business. Make small steps that make a big impact. Learn more at uber.com/small steps.
Welcome to Sephora. I'm looking for a perfume that's not too perfumey. I got you.
Serum moisturizer or moisturizer serum.
Let's get into layering.
My concealer is making me look worse.
Sounds like the wrong shade. Let's get you matched.
There's only one store that really gets what you're going for. Get beauty from people who get beauty. Only at Sephora.
Hi, Let's get you a basket.
It's summer. Time to enjoy long days, lazy nights, and zero cooking. Because Uber Eats has deals all summer long. So, when hunger strikes, don't sweat it. Delicious deals are just a tap away on Uber Eats. Enjoy all your favorite food delivered straight to you. Get Burger King, Subway, Popeyes, and hundreds more local favorites and savor every last bite. Now that sounds like a good summer. Order now on Uber Eats. Terms apply. Product availability varies by region. See app for details.
This episode is sponsored by Friskies, who would like to tell your cats hi. Now, if that didn't get your cat's attention, there's one thing that always does the trick. Just pour some Friskies crunchy food in the bowl and you'll hear those paws come running. Works every time. With so many Friskies choices, you can always bring your cats running from their secret napping spots. There's always more to explore. See for yourself at friskies.com or visit your local store.
Hey, this is Bill Simmons from the Bill Simmons Podcast, here to help you make the most of your summer with Michelob Ultra, a superior light beer worth playing for. Play for it with the guys when you're competing to see who can sink more birdies on the golf course, because winning tastes even better with Ultra on the line. Play for Ultra. Fill your fridge with Michelob Ultra this summer. Enjoy responsibly. Copyright 2025 Anheuser-Busch Michelob Ultra Light Beer, St. Louis, Missouri.
This episode is brought to you by Hyundai. Get into the Hyundai Getaway Sales Event and get away with a deal so right, it almost feels wrong. Because right now, you can save big on their most popular models, including SUVs like the Hyundai Santa Fe and Santa Fe Hybrid, and the all-electric Ioniq 5 and Ioniq 6. The Hyundai Getaway Sales Event. Visit HyundaiUSA.com. Offers end September 2nd, 2025.
Your earbud fell in a coffee cup. You need a taco pick-me-up.
When modern life gets rough, grab the timeless taste you love. Paso, the old El Paso.
Here at the Almond Joy Factory, where tropical vibes abound, we use soft, fresh-tasting coconut.
The crunchiest almonds and delicious chocolate candy.
Ah, but do you know what our most important ingredient is? Sometimes you feel like a nut.
Sometimes you don't.
Almond Joy's got nuts and something even way better than that. Yes, Almond Joy is made with almonds and joy.
Welcome to the HCI family of podcasts. We're your source for personal, professional, and organizational growth and development. We share our own original research, explore industry trends, and interview executives and thought leaders from across the globe. Join us for practitioner-oriented content around all things leadership, HR, talent management, organizational development, and change management. Maximize your personal and organizational potential with the HCI family of podcasts.
Thomas Douglas, welcome to the conversation today.
Hey, thanks, John. I'm glad to be here.
It's a real pleasure to be with you. You're joining us from Springfield, Missouri. I'm south of Salt Lake City in Utah. And today we're going to be talking about the importance of culture and people in achieving business excellence. Great topic, something that's really important. And I'm a huge advocate of viewing organizations as the aggregate of their people. Sometimes we think about, the people of an organization as the cogs, the gears that make the machine run, kind of like the disposable parts, the resource piece of human resources, and sometimes it can seem really impersonal, depending on how we frame it, depending on how we view it. But the reality is, the people are literally what make up any organization, and no organization can function, or will function, or will innovate, or create, or provide value to the market, to customers, without good people. And so it's the people that matter. If you want to have a successful business, a successful organization, you have to have a strong culture. And in order to be sustainable in the modern world of work, you just have to attract and retain good people. And I think sometimes in the daily grind of just trying to, beat out the competition and make payroll and do all those sorts of things, sometimes we lose sight of that. And so I'm excited to have this conversation with you. As we get started, I wanted to share Thomas's bio with everybody. Thomas Douglas's remarkable trajectory at JMARK began in 1997, shortly after his notable tenure in the Navy. His early days as a level 1 engineer laid the groundwork for his eventual acquisition of the company in 2001. And in a bold move, Tom downsized to a core team of 6, a pivotal step that catalyzed JMARK's growth into a leading MSP with over 120 employees. Under his leadership, JMARK has been a consistent name on Inc. magazine's list of the top 5,000 fastest growing private companies, and has been lauded as the best place to work. Recognized as a visionary in the tech space, Tom is revered for his insightful approach to business culture, technological efficiencies, and cybersecurity. His expertise has earned him a spot as a trusted advisor to global clientele and as a prominent speaker on leadership and technology trends. I could go on. There's a whole lot of really great things about your background, but I'm going to pause there. Anything you would like to highlight by way of your background or personal context before we dive on in?
Well, I think some of the best lessons that we learn in life are by watching people who, as it turns out, we don't admire. Excuse me. When I was in the Navy, I was fortunate. I didn't see it as much when I was in the Navy, but later in life, I realized that it was a very fortunate situation where I was exposed to an individual who was a really bad leader, and I decided that I was never going to bring that into any of my leadership repertoire, and it has served me really well to have kind of like an image of what bad is, so that I could do all the things I could to be on the opposite side. So I think, experience in life guides us through a path that we can use as a multiplier should we choose, and even those bad experiences pay forward. And I've been fortunate to be able to learn from some incredible people and take those positive lessons, those negative lessons, and pay it forward to create a culture that we're really proud of.
Yeah, well, that's interesting, and I'm glad you were able to recognize that it was bad. That's part of the challenge with leadership is people get thrust into leadership roles most of the time with no real leadership training. We're just doing whatever we do it well, so we get promoted. Now we're a leader, and we usually don't really know what we're doing, and so we just mimic what we saw other people around us do. And a lot of times we don't really know what's good or what's bad. We know maybe what we liked or what seemed to work, where we were at. And so we tend to replicate it. And a lot of times we perpetuate, not necessarily, because it's a good thing or a bad thing. We just replicate, right, what we've seen. And so that's part of the big challenge with leadership, and the fact that you were able to recognize that, yes, this actually is a really bad example. These are lessons that I'm learning that I don't want to ever replicate. I want to actually do the opposite. Those are really good things that I think hopefully we can recognize, but also, hopefully we can have good examples, we can have bad examples. Hopefully we're self-aware enough to understand those good and bad. And it just also speaks to the necessity of having more formalized trainings and the ability to figure out what works and what doesn't work, right?
Yeah, 100%. I think 360-degree reviews are a really powerful tool to help with that inside of an organization. As a business that's growing, we oftentimes find ourselves in a situation where we have a tendency to promote people to the level of incompetence, or we put them in place where they're just not quite prepared. To your point, I was actually doing some research for a presentation last week, and the data shows that less than 60% of people that are put in a management role really receive the training necessary to be successful.
Yeah.
And then once they're thrust into it, they literally don't have enough hours in the day in order to serve their teams, to do proper one-on-ones and have the conversations that they feel like they should do, but they simply can't do it. I think in today's world and what we're going to see for the next 5 years, middle managers are going to be so pivotal to the success of businesses. But yet, as we're going today, the current path anyway, is that over 70% of middle managers are not set up for success. So, it's kind of my stomping ground, if you will, to really help business leaders to know that it's critical to lean into those opportunities, to take those great people that we've promoted and then help them to be set up for success with the right training, with the right resources, with the right one-on-one capabilities, and understand capacity, because we're really, because the workforce is tight. We're just asking an enormous amount from that middle management group. And those are the people who empower the front lines, the ones that are oftentimes are facing clients and customers and dealing with the big challenges that really are the face of the company. And so when we're not setting those people up for success, it can create long-term damage if we're not careful.
Yeah, well, absolutely. And the nature of leadership in the modern organization has shifted dramatically, right?
100%.
I think back a generation or two, and middle management, supervisory level through middle management, it really was management. Like you just had to be able to plug people in, do a little bit of staffing, make sure that do a little conflict management here and there. If people are like getting at each other's throats, and
Right.
it was not super complicated. It's in that complexity though has just been layering it's upon layer as time goes on, and we're asking so much of
100%.
even line level supervisors today. I mean, they're being expected to do everything,
Yeah.
and with no training, it's kind of crazy. It's kind of like an equivalent almost is like what we expect of police officers now, when they show up to a domestic violence situation, like we
Mhm.
expect them to be able to deal with anything when they
Right.
show up. They're not trained to do all that. Or like a school teacher is expected to basically do anything and everything when they're dealing, any situation that they might, find themselves in when they're dealing with a classroom full of small children. They're not trained or prepared to do all of that or paid to do all of that. And we're doing the same thing with like these low wage line level supervisors who, it's almost crazy what we're expecting them to do, yet that's the reality. And we're squeezing more and more and more out of these people. So I guess the question is, how do we prepare people? Part of the answer probably is stop squeezing so much out of them. But the labor force realities are that's probably not going to change for most organizations anytime soon. So like, how do we deal with it?
Yeah, I think we just have to be way more prepared and build a roadmap for leaders and those middle managers a lot further out. The truth is that if we would just take a couple of hours a week over a period of 6 months to help people to step into those roles, they're going to be 10 times more prepared than most people are today.
Yeah.
So I think slow and steady wins the race, and that's what we're finding and launching inside of our organization this year is we're creating a leadership program for anybody who's in a leadership role or maybe a candidate for a leadership role in the
Mhm.
future, even if it's a couple of years out, because we want to start having these conversations. And the reality is that if we can take people, even if they don't actually decide to go down the leadership path, but they think more like a leader, they're a better part of the team. And so it's not a bad investment no matter what happens. And so a couple hours a week, a couple hours every other week really makes a huge difference in that. And we know with the silver tsunami and all the people that are retiring from the workforce and what's going on there, we're going to take middle managers and we're going to put them in more senior level positions because we have to.
Yeah.
And that's going to create a void in middle management. And so we've got to start preparing some of the frontline resources and the day-to-day operators within our businesses to be able to step into those roles. And if we want them to help maintain the quality and our reputation and our brand, then we've got to do a good job of helping them to understand what it means to be a successful leader. And in our world, that means that they understand operationally what they have to do, but they have to understand like how to support what we call the whole human. So you've got mental wellness, you've got physical wellness, you've got spiritual wellness, you've got all of these components, even financial management and planning all go into that so that they're making good decisions as it relates to their investments. Because we know if things are a real mess at home, whether it's money or whether it's a relationship, that all comes to work in some form or another. And so when we can really set leaders up to be successful in the home environment, to be successful supporting the whole human and challenge and ask really meaningful questions, then that results in better folks that are leading our teams that know how to navigate through more of those situations, to your point, which I think 100% is one of the bigger challenges that we're trying to ask people to do. I love your teacher analogy because, teachers are having to kind of parent oftentimes today. And
Right.
and I would argue that sometimes supervisors are having to do the same thing.
Exactly.
Mhm.
Yeah. I mean, everything you were just saying, again, to what we were talking about a minute ago. I mean, was the average manager or supervisor a generation ago thinking about leading the whole human? You know, like that whole
They thought it was
concept.
all food stuff. Yeah.
Yeah, that whole concept would have been laughable, like so foreign to anybody. They're like, why would I even care about like their financial, stability or their spiritual wellness or their mental wellness or any of those sorts of things? Why, but you're absolutely right because all of it impacts, all of it. If you want to have a successful organization, the day and age of someone being able to clock in, clock out, leave their home life at home, work life at work, it just doesn't work that way, right? As much as, I don't know if you watch the show Severance, you can in this fantasy world of like being able to like completely sever our two worlds apart, like once upon a time, maybe work life kind of was that like that, but it's just not like that at all. And they bleed together and they impact each other. The challenge is, man, we live messy lives. And
Yeah.
so if I'm trying to do that for my people, like recognizing like if I'm going to have a successful team, I need to have successful people, not just at work, but in life.
Mhm.
That's asking a lot of the average manager or supervisor. And it also means they need to be leading a successful life to be able to model that for their team. My goodness, we are setting the bar really high for organizations to be able to just run to really run well. And that means when we talk about investing in our people, that's a whole different level, right? Of investing in our people.
Yeah, I mean, I think you're 100% right. The way we start our leadership program is how do you lead yourself? Because I think to your point that if your life is a mess, then you're going to be bringing that baggage to the table and your team's going to be dealing with that. And not to say that everybody has to have a perfect life that's going to be a supervisor by no means, but at the same time, we need to have the tools and the capabilities and the processes in place in order to deal with the challenges of life so that we don't come to work and show up different every single day. I mean, what people want from a good leader is consistent, authentic leadership where they know that they care about them, that they're invested in their future, that, the way I like to think about it is people are placing a bet on their lives by investing into this company. And do they want to bet their life and their future on what's going on within this organization? And if it's just a mess and my supervisor comes in and one day he's a wreck and the next day he's not, or he's half present during one-on-ones and he doesn't ask any meaningful questions, I'm probably not going to invest my life there. I'm going to go somewhere where I feel like people really care about me. And the world today, even though it is messy and it's asking a lot, we're better for it. It's a worthy process. It's a worthy path because what we're really doing is we're leveling up all the lives of the people that are part of the team. And I think people want that in a world that's messy. They want stability and they want some good, solid, ethical, meaningful leadership where people are focused on the future and making it a better place for themselves, for their families, and for the following generations. And so it's a challenge and it's ugly, but gosh, I think it's a good thing to fight for.
Yeah, absolutely. And so the culture piece that I teased at the beginning, when we were starting out the conversation, if we're going to invest in our people for business excellence, I mean, there's the human side of it. Like we just want to treat people well. We want people to be happy and healthy and maximize their potential just from a human perspective, right? But
Yep.
that then, of course, will bleed over into business excellence.
Mhm.
We support that through a common culture. How do we start to build that culture, especially if and when we're in an organization where maybe that hasn't been the priority up to this point in time? Maybe there has been negativity, perhaps even, toxicity, exploitation, things like that. How do we start to turn that tide?
Yeah, great question. And I think a tough one. First, I would say that it's not a race that has an end.
Yeah.
Simon Sinek talks about playing the infinite game. And I think fighting for culture and managing a culture is an infinite game. It never ends. But to start, you have to get really aligned on core values and the behaviors that are acceptable and not acceptable in the business. Because if you do have toxicity or you have some behaviors of individuals that just don't align to who you want to be or the personality of the company, you have to deal with those head on, even if it's a senior leader, because you're not going to develop that healthy culture that really drives and creates the ecosystem and the family environment that you want if you've got one individual that's in a senior leadership role can poison the well. And so we've got to get really clear on what that is. And once we got clear on that, we really understood behaviors. We created an executive team ethos,
Hmm.
a set of guiding rules that and how we treat people, how we deal with conflict, how we bring up, courageous conversations and how we approach other people with those. That we do things like we always praise in public and we criticize in private, common sense stuff mostly. But if you're not saying it and you're not making it a rule and actually having people sign the document that says I commit to these things, that just takes it to a whole nother level and drives that accountability. And so once we started really modeling those behaviors, then we got serious about our hiring practices as well, because ultimately the way that the culture is successful is when you have a group of people who believe in the future of the company and they believe in the same fundamentals of how we treat one another along the way. And so once we can get on that same page and we agree to that through our hiring practices and firing practices, candidly, then it helps everybody
Yeah.
to be on the same page because we have a commitment that this is how we're going to be. It's like family, whether you do it intentionally or unintentionally, you develop those agreements in how you're going to treat each other. And so rather than just making assumptions,
Hmm.
we felt like it was really important to get very deliberate and intentional about it.
Yeah, deliberate and intentional. That intentionality, I think, is just so important. We're never going to be perfect. All of what we're talking about, this is an ideal that we're striving for. Nobody expects perfection, and nobody, of course, will be perfect. No senior leader, no middle manager, no line worker will be perfect. But if we can set the intention, and if everyone can strive for it, and if everyone can tell that we're genuinely striving for it, not just words, empty words, on the website or on the wall, but it's something like we actually do believe in. People tend to show each other grace and will be patient and forgiving and all of those things. What people don't tend to be patient with is hypocrisy, and when people know that they're not genuine and authentic in how they're trying to carry things out, when you say one thing and do another repeatedly, right?
Right.
And so we just need to do the best we can, and like you said, live those values even when it's hard. And if that means you got to get rid of somebody who is toxic or does things that are just consistently inconsistent with your values, then you got to do it. Right?
Yeah, yeah, it's really tough. And I think, those tough decisions and conversations are where people build the trust in the culture that you want
Right.
to believe in. So if you're unwilling to take the hard actions or have the critical or courageous conversations in the business, then they're not going to buy in. But if you deal with those things head on, then it's an opportunity for the company to see that the senior leadership models the behaviors in which they're asking everyone else to embody. And so I think one of my mentors said once that, boy, I wish I would have taken a lot longer to fire that person who had all the bad behavior. Said no one ever. Most of the time when we make those hard decisions as a senior leadership team, the rest of the organization's like, man, what took you so long? Um,
Seriously.
and so we just have to get really, back to the point, we have to get deliberate and we have to get intentional and then model those behaviors for our teams. And then when we do that, it's the opportunity to show a great example of trust and modeling the right behaviors.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, this has just been a really great conversation. I think we could go on and on, but I do note the time. I need to let you go here in a minute. Before we wrap things up, I wanted to give you a chance to share with the audience how they can connect with you, find out more about your work, your team, and then give us the final word for today.
Yeah, thanks. Well, the best way to get in touch with me is Tom at jmark.com. And it's just TOM at JMARK.com. I've also written a book. It's called Adapt or Die. So you can go to the Adapt or Die website, adaptordie.com, and connect with us there. I have a newsletter that we send out every Sunday that's called Success Starts Sunday. That just kind of talks about some of the thoughts. We deal with financial things, we deal with culture, we deal with behavior, we deal with all kinds of fun things. So Success Starts Sunday, just right at the bottom of the Adapt or Die website, is a great way to stay plugged in and to learn some free nuggets along the way. So in terms of final thoughts, I would just say, play the infinite game. It is a worthy fight, and we have to make the hard decisions as leaders. That's what we're paid for. And when we shy away from the tough decisions, then all we're doing is we're forcing someone else to deal with our bad choices, and they're going to have to either deal with it through, their culture, through their own well-being, or whatever it's supposed to be. So as leaders, we have to take the bullet on the front side to protect our team so that they can do the jobs that we ask them to do and to live the culture and the values that we want them to adhere to as well.
Yeah, absolutely. Well said. Thomas, this has just been a real pleasure. I encourage the audience to reach out, to get connected, find out more about what Thomas can do for you. Check out the book. And as always, I hope everyone can stay healthy and safe. They can find meaning and purpose at work each and every day. And I hope you all have a great week.
Thanks for joining us for this episode of the podcast. We hope you stay healthy and safe, and please join us again soon.